time has come. It's test day. I'm ready. You've got this. I'm not supposed to be meeting my examiner until 9 o'clock, but I've got here to the airport about an hour early, just so I can, well, first of all, make sure that there's no traffic so I'm not rushing to get here, but also so I've got another kind of 3/4 of an hour just to... Now, similar to yesterday's flight, I'm not going to film it inside the cockpit. I mentioned all that in yesterday's vlog anyway, but today I will share with you some information after I've taken the test in terms of exactly what happened, what did I do, how did I do. Will I share that? I will share that. Of course I'll share that. I mean, if it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well, and I'll be honest with you. But hopefully if it goes well... I should also say, I keep saying test. I mean, this is what they call a proficiency check. It's a check. It's not like an exam. You can still not be approved to continue flying IFR as a result of this check. I still have got the opportunity to fail if I really do want to do this badly. Anyway, I'm just rambling because, you know, I've flown for a while, sure, and I feel pretty confident about this flight, but you're still a little bit nervous, right? It doesn't matter how experienced you are. You still, exams, when someone's sitting next to you with a clipboard, no one likes it. So that last sequence I shot when I was sitting in the car there, that was 6 hours ago. I've only just got back home. That was a long day, and yes, I did make a cup of tea at home and brought it all the way out to the local park just for that gag. So first things first, yes, I did pass my instrument proficiency check, which is great in itself, but I've got to be honest, I reckon that flight in itself was possibly, like, it's not my best performance. There were some things in that flight that I really, maybe it was the pressure of the flight itself, the performance on the day, maybe I didn't get a good sleep last night because I was editing the vlog. Not sure exactly what it was, but I did make a couple of mistakes that I just wanted to share with you now. So I'll play some of the footage in the background as well whilst I'm talking about this. This is just what we had on the wing cap. I reckon one of the reasons why I was put off a bit on this flight is that you have to wear, when you're doing these instrument flights and it's not actually, you're not in cloud, they have to sort of simulate the fact that you're flying in cloud. So they make you wear these things called foggles. They're like plastic glasses, but the tops are all fogged up. And it's supposed to mean that you can't see out of the window in front of you, but you can see down to your instruments. But these things, they just sit on your face funny and they push against your nose and they slip down, you have to push. To be honest, they're really annoying and they do distract you up. Well, they distracted me anyway, a little bit. Anyway, this is starting to sound like a list of excuses. Now, I did a couple of things wrong. First thing I did wrong was we were supposed to fly to Avalon today, but Avalon's ILS is not actually in service. So at the last minute, we made a late change and flew to Essendon instead. So kind of already from the start, I was a little bit on the back foot. And you know when you've got a test coming up and you've planned it in your head for like a week or so beforehand? Then on the morning when you find out there's a change, I guess that's a good thing because it's like aviation, things do change, but still, I wanted to go to Avalon. Then secondly, what happened is once we'd actually changed the flight plan and put that in, I had to request a start clearance from air traffic control in the aircraft when we're on the ground. And we sat on the ground and I basically said, Echo Yankee Zulu, request start. And air traffic control at Moorabbin said, well, we don't have a flight plan for you. There was no flight plan in the system, even though I'd filed it. And I had got a confirmation back, but for some reason they couldn't find the flight plan in the system. Had to get on the phone, had to talk to the briefing office, basically sat on the ground for about 10-15 minutes trying to sort out the flight plan. In the end, had to ignore the first one I put in, redo the whole flight plan again, all with my instructor sitting next to me. Put that in, eventually air traffic control said, yep, fine, okay, well you're here now, you can start up and off you go. But still, then I'm 20 minutes behind. I've been sitting doing admin stuff instead of actually getting on with the flight. I was going to an airport that I hadn't really studied as much as the original airport. I'm already feeling a little bit behind at this stage. So then we get towards Essendon, I do all the normal stuff, I tune in the ILS, I identify it with the Morse code, and I get turned onto what's called the localizer, and my avionics do nothing. They sit there, nothing's changing. There's localizer needles not moving around. Whoa. So what actually had happened is I hadn't tuned in the correct ILS. I'd actually tuned in the ILS for Avalon. instead of Essendon. And that really goes back to the fact that I think I'd prepped to go to Avalon Airport as opposed to going to Essendon, tuned in the wrong ILS. I'd even listened to the Morse code, and I had this, I don't know whether I was looking at the chart or I just heard the Morse code and didn't put 2 and 2 together. But if you're watching this and you've ever had a flight where you've done something and you think, how on earth can they let me fly when I make mistakes like this? Please rest assured, we all do it. But we did the ILS, we went on the missed approach, we flew to Latrobe Valley. I had to do a circling approach and a crosswind landing. Was actually quite happy with that. Landed quite nicely at Latrobe Valley. Flew back to Moorabbin, did a hole, did some unusual attitudes like we did yesterday in the practice video. Came back and Rob said, I bet you're glad to be landing now, aren't you? And I said, yes, I am. And I was. And that was a long flight and a long day and a lot of study. But I'm instrument proficient again. It means I can fly IFR for the next 12 months in Echo Yankee Zulu. Question is, where should we go? People definitely look at you funny when you're in a sports ground. This is the local AFL park here in Melbourne. They're doing their practice and you're talking to yourself on a camera and drinking a cup of tea. All right, next I'm gonna go pick up my kid from school and then it's back to Albert Park. If you, like me, like the Formula One, you'll probably recognise this. This is where all the Formula One drivers come up before the races down here when they're racing at Albert Park. Melbourne Walk is where they all line up. All the press are normally standing either side, so you've got the press there. People like me standing over there with long cameras trying to see if you can get a picture of Lewis Hamilton or Valtteri Bottas. Someone mentioned in the comments the other day that if I'm running around Albert Park, can I give a bit of an overview of what the Formula One circuit is like down here? And considering we have the whole place to ourselves now, all right, let's start at the start. Pit straight. If you watch the Formula One Grand Prix, you would have seen that this was race number 998. I think they're up to 1007 now, but the start of the season was 998 and they've still got that on the ground down here. Behind me is where all the drivers park. These are the garages, so Mercedes would have been here. Ferrari, Red Bull. Pit straight where they're going, so they'll go all the way up here and then enter the circuit up there behind me, and that just behind me on the main road, that's the main road. That's the road that you can actually drive up and down. Restricted to 40 kilometers an hour when the races aren't going on. That's slower than what they go in the pit lane here. Oh, I almost forgot to show the most important bit. Also, okay, I really should get running. Let's start this very, very slow and sluggish lap at Albert Park. After working your way up the start, finish straight, this is corner number 1. This is the first turn. Also, you can see down here, oh bus. You can see down here, you still got some of the rumble strips and some of the yellow paint from the yellow and green that they painted. All right, second corner, that's where Valtteri went off in practice a couple of years ago. Then the long straight all the way down to turn 3. All right, I'll see you there. Okay, and then this is turn 3. So just come up the straight behind me. Turn 3 is here. They normally put this, they kind of dig up this grass area here, put all the gravel down, that becomes the runoff area. Then turn 3 goes round into that kind of little chicane, past the Australian Institute of Sport, onto the back straight, which is where we're going now. Vlogging and running is hard. All the way up here until you get right to the end, which of course is where Fernando Alonso had his huge crash a couple of years ago, rolling the car a couple of times, ending up upside down in the gravel strip that's normally just over there behind me. Thankfully, walks away from it. Pretty shaken up, understandably.
I'm okay, but yeah, it was quite a big one.
All right, back straight. Careful, Swannies. They made it, good job. Turn 11, turn 12, turn 13. After this one, just 3 more turns till you get back to the start finish straight. Come on, we can do this. I'm just admiring the view. Okay, come on, 3 more corners. 14, 2 more to go. 15, and the final turn, turn 16, entrance to the pit lane. Back down pit lane, just in case you need to do a tyre stop. Actually. And then, of course, the most triumphant moment of all, that moment when you cross the finish line and win with a new lap record of about 35 minutes, including all the vlogging and the cameras.